Beginning, the man who wasn't supposed to be there. The first time I saw her, I was bleeding on the polished metal floor of a ship that was never meant for humans. My name is Daniel Carter, a deep space salvage pilot working the outer edges of Terran territory. My job was simple: find abandoned ships, extract anything valuable, and sell it back to corporations that pretended they hadn't lost it in the first place. That day started like any other. I had discovered a drifting vessel near the dead orbit of Kepler 442b. It wasn't human technology. The hull shimmered with a violet metallic sheen, curved and organic, like a living creature rather than a machine. Naturally, I boarded it. That was my first mistake. The moment I entered the corridor, alarms erupted. Strange symbols pulsed red across the walls. A hidden turret unfolded from the ceiling and fired before I could react. I barely managed to dive behind a curved pillar. The blast grazed my shoulder, sending me crashing into the floor. Before I could stand, armored figures surrounded me. Aliens. Tall, elegant beings with silver armor and glowing blue eyes behind transparent helmets. One of them spoke in a melodic but cold voice. Human detected. Unauthorized presence. Detain him. Energy restraints snapped around my wrists and ankles. I remember thinking one thing very clearly at that moment. Well, this is how I die. But then everything changed. The soldiers suddenly stepped aside as someone else entered the chamber. And that was the first time I saw her. The princess. She was taller than the others, her armor trimmed with gold and deep violet. Her long white hair floated gently as if gravity obeyed her differently than everyone else. Her eyes glowed a faint silver. The soldiers lowered their heads instantly. "Your Highness," one of them said. So she was royalty.
Great.
I had accidentally boarded a royal warship. She studied me silently. Her gaze wasn't hostile, just curious. "Remove his restraints," she said calmly. The soldiers hesitated. "But princess." "Do it." The restraints released with a soft hiss. I slowly pushed myself up, trying not to look threatening. My shoulder burned where the turret had hit me. "You are far from your species' territory, human," she said. Her voice flowed smoothly, like music through water. "How did you find this vessel?" "Honestly," I said, wincing. "Bad luck." To my surprise, the corners of her lips lifted slightly. Amusement. That reaction clearly confused the guards. One stepped forward. "Princess Liara, this human is a trespasser. Protocol requires." "I know the protocol," she interrupted softly. Her eyes never left me. "But I wish to speak with him." She turned and began walking toward the far corridor. Then she stopped and looked over her shoulder. "Bring him." The private chamber. They escorted me deeper into the ship until we reached massive doors covered in glowing patterns. The guards stopped there. The princess entered alone. Then she gestured for me to follow. Inside was nothing like the rest of the warship. The chamber was enormous, lit by soft starlight streaming through a transparent dome. Strange alien plants floated in glass spheres around the room. At the center was a circular platform surrounded by shimmering holographic constellations. It was beautiful and extremely private. I suddenly realized something. This was probably her personal quarters. She turned to face me. "You are injured." "It's nothing," I said. She walked closer. Before I could react, a small device appeared in her hand. A warm blue light washed over my shoulder. The pain disappeared instantly. "Advanced medical nanites," she said. I blinked. "Thanks." She studied me again, tilting her head slightly. "You are not afraid." "Oh, I'm terrified," I admitted. "I'm just trying not to show it." That made her smile properly this time. Honesty. Rare. She walked toward the dome window and gazed at the stars. I have studied humans, she said quietly, but this is the first time I've spoken with one. That's probably because we're not supposed to meet, I said. She nodded slowly. Yes. Our empires maintain distance. Silence fell between us. Then she asked something unexpected. Why did you board this ship, Daniel Carter? I froze. You know my name? I accessed your vessel's database. Right, of course. I shrugged. I'm a salvager. I find lost ships. She turned back toward me. And you boarded a warship belonging to the most powerful alien empire in this quadrant alone. When you say it like that, it sounds stupid. Her silver eyes sparkled. Yes, it does. The truth she revealed. Hours passed as we talked. I told her about Earth, cities, oceans, music, human stubbornness. She told me about her people, the Illyrians. Their empire stretched across hundreds of star systems. But beneath that power was tension. War was coming. A rival empire known as the Draxery had begun expanding rapidly. Entire colonies were disappearing. We suspect infiltration, she explained. Spies hiding among our fleets. And you think a random human salvager is one of them? No, she said softly. I think your arrival may have saved my life. That caught my attention. How? She activated a hologram of the ship. Red markers appeared across its systems. Sabotage, she said. Hidden devices planted throughout the vessel. My stomach tightened. If they had activated, this ship would have exploded. And you being here stopped that? You triggered the security systems early, she explained. The saboteur was forced to abandon the plan. I exhaled slowly. So, I accidentally saved an AlienPrincess. Yes. She paused. And now everything is complicated. The choice. The next morning the ship arrived at a massive orbital station. Thousands of alien vessels surrounded it. Her empire's military. I stood beside her as the docking clamps engaged. What happens now? I asked. She looked troubled. The High Council will want answers. And they will not like them. Because of me? Yes. She hesitated. Humans are unpredictable. Many fear what they do not understand. I rubbed the back of my neck. Story of my life. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she made a decision. Come with me. Where? My private chamber on the station. You already had one of those. This one is safer. I sighed. Well, I've come this far. The chamber that changed everything. Her chamber on the station was even more impressive. Massive curved windows revealed a view of an entire galaxy. Guards stood outside, but none entered. Inside, it was just the two of us again. She looked nervous for the first time. Daniel, there is something you must understand. I waited. If the council learns you are here, they will demand your removal from Illyrian territory. Meaning, you would be sent back to human space immediately. That sounds reasonable. Her eyes darkened. You would not survive the journey. I stared at her. What? The Draxery know you disrupted their sabotage. They will hunt you. I felt a chill run down my spine. So, I'm basically a walking target. Yes. Silence filled the room. Then she said something that changed my life forever. There is another option. I raised an eyebrow. I'm listening. If you remain under my protection as a member of the royal household, the council cannot remove you. I blinked. Wait, you mean like staff? She hesitated, then said quietly, No. My brain caught up a second later. Oh. The ending. The life I could never leave. Days passed. The council questioned her decisions. Rumors spread across the station about the human living in the princess's private wing. Many were curious. Some were angry, but none dared challenge her directly. One night, she stood beside me at the observation window, overlooking the stars. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "Regret what?" "Staying." I thought about Earth, my small salvage ship, the quiet loneliness of drifting between dead stars. Then I looked at her, the alien princess who had saved my life and risked her own reputation to keep me here. "I think," I said slowly, "this might be the most insane decision I've ever made." She smiled. But I don't regret it." Outside the window, 1,000 stars shimmered. Somewhere out there was Earth, home, but it felt impossibly far away now. "You understand," she said gently, "that you may never return." "I know, and that your life will be tied to this empire." "I know that too." She stepped closer. "Then tell me something, Daniel Carter." "What? Are humans always this reckless?" I grinned. "Only the interesting ones." She laughed softly. For a moment we simply stood there, watching the stars drift by. Then the station lights dimmed as the massive fleet prepared to depart. War was coming, and somehow, I had become part of it. I was no longer just a salvager from Earth. I was the human who lived in the alien princess's private chamber. The human who saved her ship. The human she chose to protect. And the human who had made a decision that could never be undone. Because the moment I stepped into her world, I understood the truth. Some journeys take you across the stars. Others take you somewhere you can never leave. And as the fleet jumped into hyperspace, carrying us toward an uncertain future, I realized something with absolute clarity. I could never return home. But maybe, just maybe, I had found a new one.